66% of people who have purchased a new construction home end up regretting it. And there's a graph on the screen, and you can see most of the reasons they regret it is the quality, delays, they blew their budget, or had difficulty making decisions. And certainly those are some things to think about. So in today's video, I want to make sure that you are not one of those 66% of people who regret it. Instead, I want to make sure you're in that 44%, or even better yet, maybe new construction is not for you at all. Today's video, we've got the pros and cons. Should you buy that new construction home who's never had any owner step foot in it before, or should you buy the resale home that, yes, has had several owners before, but you know exactly what it looks like? And that's a dead giveaway, okay? Two big pros of buying a new construction home. We're going to get these out of the way because they're really obvious. One, you're the first owner. Nobody else has stepped foot in it. Two, you can customize it to your preferences, unless it's a spec or an inventory house that's already built, but that kind of depends on the builder. So big pro of being able to customize it, those features and finishes and the style inside and out, that is exactly what you're looking for. It's a dream come true. But there's one con. You never quite know exactly what you're getting. You don't quite know what the finished product is. And yes, you can tour all the model homes, and we have tours of them on this channel, but that model home, unless you're buying the model, is not always going to look like the finished product that you're building. Okay, so there's a hidden cost to that pro of being able to customize it. Now, yes, you could customize a resale home, but at some point, a home that's 80 years old, that's been through several different remodels, it kind of gets mismatched from one contractor to another, to one owner to another. There can be a lot of hodgepodge style remodels, especially in the Kansas City area. So that's one thing that new construction has over resale, is being able to customize it and having a floor plan that is modern and up to today's standards. By the way, if you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name's Nick Massa. I help people buy new construction homes, but I also know that it's a really difficult process. It can be overwhelming, so I make these videos to make it a little bit easier on you. Subscribe to see my latest videos, hit the like button if you find this video valuable, and of course, if you like what I have to say, you're interested to see what working with me would look like, go down in the description, you send me a text, email, or let's schedule a Zoom call. You'll also find a link that tells you everything that I do for my clients so they don't run into these issues, and I'd love to work with you. Don't be shy. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Let's get back to the video. Now, con number one is time. Those 66% of people who regret it, a big one was the delays, and that's something that's unavoidable when you're building a new home. Of course, you can avoid all of this by purchasing a new construction home that is already built, but you don't get that first pro, which is being able to customize it. Now, if you were to build from the ground up right now in Kansas City, from the time that you sign that contract to the time that you move into that home, and of course anything can happen, delays are inevitable and they spiral out of control, but most likely it's going to be 14 to 16 months before you move in. And really in Kansas City it takes about 12 to 14 months to build the home. So why do I say 14 to 16? Well, from the time that you sign that contract to the time that the plans are customized to you or changed or whatsoever, and the time it takes for the city to approve them, it's going to take another month or two before ground is broken. Con number two is the higher upfront cost to purchasing a new construction home. Now, obviously it's going to cost a little bit more. It's brand new, nobody's lived in it, and you've most likely customized it. The entry point to purchase a new construction home in the KC Metro, you're looking at around $400,000 to $500,000. Yes, there are exceptions, but that's generally the rule. The amount of money it costs to purchase a resale home and with a similar grade of finishes, even though it's not new and even though it's 50 to 75 years old, you can probably get a pretty good sized home, comparable size to that new construction home that's between $400,000 and $500,000 for at most $400,000. So yes, there are higher entry costs to getting into the new construction game, and if you're only going to be there for a limited amount of time, it can certainly make sense to purchase a resale home instead of a new construction home. Now, the flip side of this is appreciation. That is the second pro in this group, which is that new construction generally is going to appreciate and make you more money over the long run, okay? So if your timeline for staying in that home is a little bit shorter, probably better to go with a resale home. If your timeline is a little bit longer, it can pay off by putting the money forward, paying those higher upfront costs. If you wait long enough, that home is most likely going to appreciate quicker. You're going to have less expenses, there's less maintenance, and it's most likely, if it's built in a new home community, that whole community is going to appreciate quicker, which is why in these communities you'll see that the first phase of lots is usually the cheapest. And then once homes are built, the second phase unlocks, and those lots go up in price. And by the time that they're done, the last phase, those lots are really, really expensive for good reason. It's because the area has appreciated during the time of that build. Now, if you are not in a master plan community and you have knocked down and rebuilt a home, then that means you've got one of the newest homes on the street. And of course, when it goes for sale, when you inevitably sell it, and there are a bunch of other older homes for sale on the same street, which one is going to be more attractive to buyers, right? The one who's had one owner or the one who's had 5, 6, 7 owners through its lifetime. Pro and con number 3 is location. There are two sides to this story. We're bundling this one together because some people could find this as a pro and some people could find this to be a con. If there are two scenarios in which you could build or buy a new construction home. I'll link a video here that goes more in depth, but here they are. Either a new home subdivision, which is going to be outside of the city, and where you can find undeveloped land. You're not going to find undeveloped land near Kansas City, Missouri proper. Or you can find a lot, knock it down, knock down the existing home, and build one there. That's going to be more expensive. You have to buy the existing structure, which costs money, even though it's worth nothing to you. That's what you have to pay to get that lot in that prime location, that central location. You're also going to have to pay the cost of demoing the property. Okay, so there are two additional costs that you've got on that route. The master plan new home subdivision route, that one is going to mean that you're farther away from the city, which could be a plus. Maybe you don't want to be really, really close to Kansas City, Missouri proper. Maybe you like being away from the city and having a lot of green space around you. Think Olathe, Lenexa, Overland Park. This is kind of what or Blue Springs, Lee Summit, etc. This is kind of where I'm going with this versus knocking down and building a home in the West Plaza in Missouri or Fairway in Prairie Village. That's the difference. This is going to either cost you're going to get the best location, or you're going to get a little bit of a discount and you're going to be a little far away from the city. Con number 4 is quality. The quality of new construction homes. This is one of the biggest complaints that so many people out of that 66% figure I showed you in the beginning, a lot of their objections fall under the umbrella of quality. And I get it, but quality is also a problem with residential or resale homes as well. Right? Those older materials that the home was built with and the planks that creak because the wood flexes over time, that can be an issue there too. But with new construction, it seems to be acute because people's expectations of the finished product are often much higher than what the builder is capable of delivering. But here's how you can avoid that issue altogether. First, you're going to get several walkthroughs during the building process. This is your chance to make sure that any issues that you have, you get a keen eye on them. You spend your time and go through it and make sure every last thing is accounted for. And 3, we've got to make sure this is all fixed. The second part of this equation, you've got 2 points of leverage when negotiating with builders. The first is before you sign that contract. We want to make sure that any questions that pop up later, we've got answers before that your signature is on the dotted line. Second is the builder getting paid. Now, a lot of people, I'm willing to bet, on that list that are dissatisfied with new construction ended up closing, even though they knew that there were some issues in that home that were not corrected. The builder said that after they closed, that those issues would be corrected. The builder got paid, took away all the incentive to quickly fix those problems, and it took way longer to fix those things than it should have in the beginning. Now, we want to make sure the builder does not get paid a dime other than that deposit we signed when we signed the contract, if every last thing in that home is not up to your standard. We've got to draw the line there. Otherwise, unfortunately, you're going to be one of the people that's writing the 1-star review and totally unsatisfied with the process. So you do have control. Builder definitely wants to deliver a good product, but ultimately it's your responsibility to make sure that the home that you're living in is done exactly how you want it to be. Now, the flip side of this, pro number 4 is the warranty. In the state of Kansas and Missouri, builder has to guarantee the structural components of the home for 10 years. Most builders will guarantee the mechanical components of the home for 2 years, and every builder will guarantee the cosmetic parts of the home for 1 year. Now, any hidden costs, I brought up that apartment example, any hidden defects that we didn't see before or problems that happened when the house finally settled. New construction, it settles because it's a new structure, it's embedded deep into the ground shifts, and eventually it'll settle after you've moved in. That can cause imperfections, but the warranty gives you some type of backstop, some security blanket to make sure that anything you missed during the walkthrough is corrected later on. Pro number 5 is sustainability. Now, I think this answers the quality issue, and I also think this answers the initial startup cost to buying a new construction that you don't have with a resale home. There are 2 reasons for this. One is energy efficiency because of regulations from the government and regulations from the National Association of Home Builders. We've got to have energy efficient windows, electricity, mechanical systems in the home. That's going to save you a lot of money, especially when the cold air in the summer is kicking and the heat's kicking in the winter. You're going to spend a lot less on electricity and your gas bill, and that makes a lot of people happy when they see how much lower their costs are. Now, the second is maintenance. In fact, according to the census, you're going to be spending about 2.5 times less maintaining a new construction home than you will with a resale home. Those are two very, very big benefits that compound over time, which is why if you're going to be staying in the home for more than 5 years, new construction could be the way to go. Con number 5 is decision fatigue. There are so many decisions to make, and you've got to make them on a specific timeline, or otherwise the build gets delayed. The builder, the floor plan, the right lot, the lot size, the lender. There are so many things that you've got to choose and be just right on. Otherwise, you may end up with a product that doesn't fit your expectations. And that's the worst of all worlds. So how do we solve it? Well, we've got to bring in, and this is the pro, we've got to bring in your own real estate agent. Because otherwise you're stuck with a builder's agent who, yes, acts like your best friend, but is not protecting your best interests. When you bring a real estate agent on board, they're legally bound to do so. And it doesn't add any cost to your bottom line. If that's what you're worried about, call up the builder and ask, if you go unrepresented, will they give you a discount? 9 out of 10 times, this has already been negotiated, they're not going to give you a discount. If you go in unrepresented, they're going to put all that money back into their pocket. So you've got nothing to lose. But there are a lot of reasons why your real estate agent is your biggest asset. All those overwhelming problems and decisions you've got to make, they should be doing the research, making all the phone calls, gathering your options and putting them in front of you so that you're not so overwhelmed by the research process that you get to spend your energy making those important decisions. And not only that, they should be there with you through the whole process, doing the walkthroughs, being that trained set of eyes that catches problems that you might not know to look for, so that you don't end up with a product that is low quality. Because ultimately, your real estate agent that you bring into the transaction is responsible for delivering the final product that fits your expectations and your specifications. They're responsible for the product just as much as the builder is. If you're agreeing with me here and you like what I had to say in this video and you want to see somebody implement all of this stuff on your behalf, there's a link in the description. You can either text, email, or set up a Zoom call with me, but there's a link in the description that explains everything that I do to fight for my clients so that they're not the 66% of people who are unsatisfied with the new build.